Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 15 is over. We are going to take a look back at Week 15 on Draftkings. Some NFL DFS for you. I'm going to look at my Best Buys column from ESPN, ESPN Plus, if you guys are a subscriber, to Disney Plus or ESPN the magazine. Well, RIP the magazine. But if you have that ESPN Plus subscription, you can access this article. It comes out every single Thursday morning and every single Monday live here on twitch.tv. There's a link down below if you're watching this video on YouTube and you want to come join us for the live stream. I would love to come meet you, or love for you to come here so I can meet you. Much easier for me to get to know you in the Twitch chat, as I do stream 6 days a week, as opposed to trying to get to know people in the YouTube comments that I can't really keep up with time after time after time. We look at everything that I got right and everything that I got wrong, find out where we were lucky, where we were unlucky, where the process was right and where it was wrong, and what we can do to try and improve things moving forward. And a lot of things hit this week, some things missed, and I want to look into what I did right and what I did wrong. We're also going to take a look at the 4-man contest, my main lineup on Draftkings, and how it did against my two co-hosts on the Daily Fantasy Edge podcast and the viewer that joined. We're going to look at the cage match and take a look at the results and how we did there. As well as a little bit of the tournament lineups that I put together, and the hows and the whys and the whats and everything that happened and what we can do looking forward to try to get better. So let's take a look at Best Buys. Let's just start there like we do every week. Looking at Best Buys, coming down to quarterbacks and starting there, Deshaun Watson. I mean, I guess I just click Deshaun Watson all the time. He did have 18.9 DraftKings points. Outside of like Jameis Winston and maybe a couple others, this was a very mediocre week for quarterbacks. None of them really smashed outside of Jameis, and I think Tannehill had like 22, 24 points, something like that. But not really a big week for quarterbacks. Obviously, I think Mahomes did well as well. But, you know, Deshaun had 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Ran for 32 yards, also had a fumble. That's what really held his scoring down, was those 3 turnovers. 18.9 points for 6.8K. Jimmy Garoppolo had about as bad a game as you can have when your team scores over 20 real-life points and you have a tight end that does as well as George Kittle did this week. He only threw for 200 yards, threw for 1 touchdown to kind of salvage things a little bit near the end of the game. Ended with only 12.6 points, the lowest total of any of the guys that I wrote up in Best Buys this week. Jared Goff, 18.6 points. Got a lot of that in garbage time, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Game that I thought could shoot out, it didn't. Dallas held up their end of the bargain. The Rams certainly did not. Kyler Murray did okay. Again, everybody just kind of meandered. 17.36 points, 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 8 rushing attempts for 56 yards as Kenyon Drake ran in 4 touchdowns on the ground for the Cardinals. Saquon Barkley absolutely smashed with 33.3 DraftKings points, 24 carries, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught 4 of the 5 balls that were thrown his way, 31 yards through the air there. Chris Carson got the elevated volume that we thought that he would get with Rashad Penny sitting out, and he's out for the rest of the season, so Carson's volume should remain steady moving forward. 24 carries, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught 1 of 2 balls thrown his way. Carolina Panthers are bad and remain bad at defending opposing running backs. 29.7 points for Chris Carson. Patrick Laird did see his snaps, did see his work share reduced a little bit in this game. He did have 14 touches for the price that he got, but was not efficient and did not find his way into the end zone. 7.4 points for the 4.5K is just not enough, but he did get 14 touches, 46 yards on the ground, 8 through the air. Had 5 targets, but could not capitalize on them. He needed to catch at least 4 of those. Christian McCaffrey did Christian McCaffrey things. Remains really good at football. Did not score a touchdown. Still had 37.5 points. He's very good. 8 catches on 10 targets, as well as the rushing usage on top of that. Raheem Mostert, I projected that he would get 15 plus touches against a defense that was very inefficient at stopping running backs, especially before the carry. And they had been doing a very good job of getting yards before contact, and the 49ers have been doing a really good job the last 2 weeks at getting him yards before contact. Those 2 puzzle pieces would fit together. I thought that Mostert would have a much more efficient day than he had. He didn't do very badly. He did have 11.9 DraftKings points, and he also lost a point at the end of the game on the lateral. That is a fumble that is attributed to him. He would have had 12.9 DraftKings points, and for 5.2K, that's not terrible. It's fine. It's almost 3x the salary. 14 carries, 54 yards and a touchdown, 1 catch on 2 targets. for 5 yards. He had the 15 touches that I thought that he would get. He just wasn't as efficient as I thought that he would be in that situation. And they were playing from behind, which had them get away from running the ball. I think he would have had a lot more if the game went more according to script, or it was a close game. They just couldn't get anything. They couldn't get anything going against Atlanta, which is shocking. Atlanta's been a really bad defense, and then meh. Julian Edelman, this is a bad play. I'll take the L here. Two catches on 5 targets. That's absurd considering that he had the longest streak of double-digit target games since like 2012. 9 yards, 2.9 points. I'll take the L here for that one. Robert Woods, if the Rams do bad and the quarterback does bad, all of a sudden Robert Woods was not going to do as well as we hoped he would. 17 yards on 9 targets is absurdly low. 4 catches on 9 targets, 5.7 points. Jarvis Landry, this was the big miss for me. Jarvis Landry was my largest position at wide receiver on the week. He was somebody that I thought was really going to absolutely crush this game. He ended the game with 8 targets. He played 97% of the snaps, 88.9% of the dropbacks. He ran a route, and he played every snap in the fourth quarter when they were trailing, except for the one play inside the 5 where RSJ ended up catching a touchdown. End of the day with 7.3 DraftKings points. Completely inexplicable that he would end this day with 5 catches on 8 targets for only 23 yards, considering the way he's been utilized the past 12 weeks prior to that, the past 14 weeks prior to that on this Browns team. Just, I honestly feel with the usage that he had and the volume of snaps and routes and everything else that he ran, especially considering that they were behind and playing from behind and had to throw more against an Atlanta or an Arizona Cardinals team, I honestly feel like we got unlucky here. I do not feel like this was bad process, just a really low, bottom 5% outcome probably for Jarvis Landry in a very winnable spot for him. Unfortunate. Greg Ward absolutely smashed. I hope that you guys played him this week. 19.1 DraftKings points, 7 catches, 9 targets, 61 yards, and a touchdown that came late in this one. Without that touchdown, he still gets you what you need for 3K with that touchdown. He's an absolute smash play. So we got a little bit lucky that he caught the touchdown on the last play of the game. But if it would have been the first play of the game, it doesn't matter when they get their points. It just matters that they get their points, and he definitely got them. Tight ends we crushed this week. Travis Kelce, 11 catches on 13 targets, 142 yards, 28.2 DraftKings points. Tyler Higbee, 26.1 DraftKings points, 12 catches on 14 targets. George Kittle, 13 catches on 17 targets for 29.4 DraftKings points. And considering his quarterback threw for 200 yards, maybe we got a little bit lucky here that we got a 50% market share of targets from Jimmy Garoppolo, and 65% of the yards that he threw for on this day. Just absolutely absurd usage for George Kittle. I'm not expecting that type of usage moving forward. Obviously, that is completely unsustainable. So we got a little bit lucky with George Kittle, but he's a great player and was a great play this week. Just happened to work out a little bit more in our favor than we thought it would. 49ers only had 3 points. Chiefs had 11. Packers had 13. Lions defense did not do well. They did have 1 turnover against Jameis Winston, but not anywhere near enough with but only 2.3K. So very minimal risk there, and allowed you to pay up for some other things. Here's the main lineup that I had. It ended up, I think, 8 points above the 50-50 cash line. So a solid lineup for cash here. Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. I prioritized getting running backs in this lineup because of the value that was available at wide receivers. You can see I had Greg Ward in there. I had Landry from Best Buys. I had Carson. I had Barkley. I had Garoppolo. A lot of guys from Best Buys in here. I pivoted down to Conley once DJ Chark was out. That was something that I could not write up in Best Buys because I write the article. It's turned in end of day on Wednesday. So by the time Chark was out on Friday, as we addressed on the lineup builder, Chris Conley became my favorite value wide receiver on the slate. He did cash in for 20.9 DraftKings points. And I could not afford the argument that I was having with myself was it actually included Landry. Should I go with, no, forget it. It was a 3v3 situation, but the key to this lineup was if Garoppolo comes down from 6,100 to Kyler Murray, who I think was 5,600, that gives me 500 more to spend, and I don't know if I have enough money to get up to Tyler Higbee at 3,900 from the 3,100 that I had here with Ian Thomas. What it could have allowed, but this was not something that I considered. So you could have had a much bigger day here by coming down here and coming up off of Jarvis Landry to the 40 points for Julio Jones, but that really was not a consideration for me at all in this lineup. Jarvis Landry was my favorite wide receiver on the day, and he absolutely did not do well. Ian Thomas was very confusing to me, considering that he ran a ton of routes this week, ran a higher percentage of routes per dropback than did Tyler Higbee, but just did not cash in as Kyle Allen was really, really bad this week. Christian McCaffrey smashed. 167 was good enough for cash, but not good enough to win the 4-man, as I finished 3 points behind MJG, who took it down, and a couple points behind Adam as well, but really condensed points, 10 points separating first from fourth in that tournament. As far as the cage match goes, I lost that to Maki Supa. I said I made a mistake during the cage match. Mistake was not picking Christian McCaffrey ahead of Greg Ward, who wasn't even on his list. He went Conley there. I went Ward with the next pick. Going Christian McCaffrey there would have given me him in my flex spot, which would have made him scramble a little bit and would have completely swung this game. That was the key spot. I knew it as soon as he picked McCaffrey after it. I said it on the stream right there. I made the mistake and should have taken him. I still would have had access to Greg Ward in that next spot, but that's what ended up costing me this. So $500 being donated to the charity of Maki Supa's choosing. A couple people wanted to take a look at the Millionaire Maker. Here were my lineups. I run 150 lineups in the Millionaire Maker every single week. I will not be running 150 lineups in week 16, as it is the $1,500 version of the Millionaire Maker. I'll probably have 3 or 5 lineups in that. We'll see what I end up with. I don't really play qualifiers for it, so I'm just going to direct buy into that. My best lineup in this, my core really hit. I was overweight on Chris Carson. I was overweight on Miles Sanders. I was overweight on Kenyon Drake. I was overweight on a lot of the running backs that did well. Barkley. I was overweight on Kittle. I was overweight on Higbee. I mean, overweight versus the field. Kittle was 13% on. I think I had 30%. Higbee was like 30%. I think I was even on the field on him. I've had about 25 to 30% on him. I was massively overweight on the field versus Greg Ward. I had 25% Greg Ward in my allocation. He was 6% owned. I was overweight on Julio Jones, but I did not have the ability to put it all together. As my Jimmy Garoppolo double stacks, we talk about building groups on Daily Roto with the lineup builder that they have all the time. Here's my Jimmy Garoppolo, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle double stack, bringing it back with Julio Jones, and then I cycle through all the rest of the players that I had. Missed on Jimmy Garoppolo, Deebo Samuel, also that combo sinking this lineup as well. The winning lineup, RBX88, put together a good lineup this week. Jameis Winston with a double stack of his wide receivers. Godwin and Perriman had value with Chris Conley, Kenyon Drake, Tyler Higbee, Carson, Barkley, Packers D. A lot of very sound, fundamentally sound, process sound plays in this lineup, wrapped around a quarterback with a double stack that went bonkers for 4 touchdowns, 458 yards. Godwin had 5 catches for 121. So congratulations to RBX88 for building a really good lineup, coming down with $1 million in week 15. That's going to do it for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure that you ring that notifications bell, and look out for all the other content that I come out. Bit of a different schedule this week with no Thursday night game and 3 Saturday games, so I will be getting videos out for that special Saturday slate and the showdown that's going to be on Saturday, so look out for those as the week goes on. And have yourselves a good week. Best of luck. Bye.
He's a legend.